It was a long time ago in a Taekwondo class. I was a white belt, completely untrained but eager to learn. Before the class started, I watched a black belt practicing kicks. To my beginner eyes, they were complicated, spinning, twirling kicks, fast as lightning. I thought to myself, would I someday in some far-off, distant future be able to do those kicks? Impossible. The difference between the way I, the white belt, could cause my body to move and the way the black belt moved could be measured in light years. I told myself, don't think about it. Concentrate on the here and now and what is immediately before me. That was good advice. It might have been advice to my future self. It was useful in all the endeavors and ventures that lay ahead. And yes, I did learn to do that spinning kick after a few years. And no, I don't do them anymore. Being a beginner can be daunting. Yet, if we're fortunate in life, we have many beginnings behind us. And no matter how old we become, we still have beginnings ahead. Each moment, the potential in all life wells up afresh, and we need only to begin. The Zen Buddhist teacher Shunryu Suzuki used the Japanese term shoshin to describe the desirable mental state for practitioners of Buddhism, the mind of a beginner. He said, if your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. It is open to anything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. In the beginner's mind, there is no thought, I have attained something. And the most difficult thing is always to keep your beginner's mind. You should not say, I know what Zen is, or I have attained enlightenment. This is the real secret. Always be a beginner. It's much more comfortable to be an expert, to know what's likely to happen, to have easy access to a full range of experience and knowledge and skill. And whatever we begin, if we continue to work and study and practice it, we acquire experience, knowledge, and skill. But what might happen to us if we were able to approach all of life with a beginner mind? What if we were able to concentrate on the here and now and leave aside judgment of self and others? What if we were able always to be open to new learning? The story of Sierra the dog who learned how to open the door but didn't learn how to close it, is an example of how the beginner mind can open the heart as well as the mind. The dog is calm and happy. She comes in from outside to the people she loves. The people are complaining about someone leaving the door open. When they realize it's the dog, the paradigm shifts. What if they had been able to make that paradigm shift from the start? What if they had trusted one another's assertions that, no, I didn't leave the door open? What if they had said with genuine curiosity, how else could it have happened? And with a beginner mind began to look around, to notice everything. The unique quality of the beginner mind is that it's open to experience without preconceptions. It's attentive to all that comes within view. It's receptive to new things and new ideas. But notice that to engage the beginner mind, trust is important. And remaining in the moment, the here and now, is important. In the beginner mind, There's attention to all things because they haven't previously been cataloged as important and not important. To the beginner, life hasn't yet narrowed down to the tunnel vision of goals and actions to achieve those goals. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. In my work as a transition minister, I often say to people, trust the process. It's frustrating not to know the future. It's hard to trust, and yet, even if we don't trust, we still don't know what the outcome will be. We have to trust the process and trust each other and wait to see what will happen. The inability to distinguish the important things from the unimportant gives the beginner the gift of equal attention to all ideas. But, of course, sometimes a beginner can feel overwhelmed. There's a kind of chaos in a beginner's mind, a kind of confusion of data overload coupled with the disruption of old patterns. It's very uncomfortable. The only thing I can compare it to is what I experienced once at the Baltimore Science Center. There was an exhibit that had a walkway over an open space, rather like a bridge over a canyon. One section of the walkway, the middle section, was made entirely of glass. So it looked as if there was nothing to walk on, nothing to hold me up if I stepped out onto it. And part of my brain said, okay, this is solid. I even saw people walking across. But skeptic that I am, I actually got down on my knees and used my hands to touch the glass part of the bridge and make sure there was really something solid there. Only then was I willing to cross. And yet, as I stepped out onto air, as it seemed, a part of my mind was screaming at me, "What are you doing?" It didn't seem safe, even though I knew intellectually that it was. It was like nothing I'd ever done before. Even though I'd walked across many bridges in my life, it was confusing, terrifying, even though I crossed that bridge by my own choice. Beginner mind, chaos, confusion, possibility, and trust. Scientists who study the human brain report that before the human brain can learn something new, there's a period of time when neurons fire chaotically. There's a disorder that's not like either analytical or creative thinking. Scientists theorize that the chaos in the brain may actually be necessary to new learning. Perhaps it is essential that old patterns be disruptive for new knowledge to be stored. Perhaps without those moments of chaos, we'd be unable to adapt to new situations. Perhaps it's that chaos and confusion that actually leads to the magic of something no one has thought of before. And I witnessed an amazing example of beginner mind just last week as the celebrants gathered for a workshop to make the slides that we used during the worship service. Of all the group of celebrants, you saw their slides. I took a slide from each one to use during our gathering song, "This Little Light of Mine." And so you saw those beautiful slides. But there was one celebrant whose slides I did not use. And that was because I want to show them to you now. They're the slides that Kelly Patterson created. And let me explain. Kelly is not comfortable with computers. She didn't know how to use PowerPoint. And she came to this workshop with anxiety and concern, and in it experienced a great deal of chaos and confusion. And the result was magical. I invite you to rise in body or spirit now. We're going to sing This Little Light of Mine with Kelly's slides, and I hope you enjoy them. So, magic. I've been making slides for a long time. I love finding beautiful images to fit the words of the song, to share them in worship, to enhance the sensations that we experience when we sing. But it never occurred to me to use for this little light of mine the image of a hippopotamus. And it's just amazing, and it's wonderful and fresh and happy. Part of the utility of beginner mind is adaptability, which Kelly absolutely displayed, and the openness, even emptiness of the beginner's mind. The confusion and chaos is what allows new learning, what allows openness, what allows change, allows adaptability, allows creativity to emerge. And adaptability is really important because life keeps throwing change at us. Adaptability is a good thing. It's a survival trait, even if the chaos and confusion of change is uncomfortable. And that's no less true for the individual than it is for a congregation. I've been with you for nearly 2 years now on this transition journey, and soon you'll be welcoming a new senior minister, and there will be chaos and confusion, smaller, I hope, than I've brought to you, but still, it's change, and adaptability is so important. Bringing the beginner mind, the mind that's open, the mind that trusts the process, will be important for this congregation and you as individuals to thrive through the changes that are ahead. And we know that life doesn't just let us learn and grow step by step. Life can fling us into new growth. We may think we've got a good routine going, and then boom, life happens, and we're beginners again. Ouch. And yet, mental chaos and disruption, as unwelcome as they may be, help us to adapt to change. Maybe knowing that chaos is necessary to new learning can help us to remain calm when life becomes chaotic. To begin at that place where we are, like a white belt practicing simple kicks, to trust the process and the companions on the journey, to move forward acknowledging that yes, the unknown is scary, and yet to be open to what might happen next. Beginner mind. Calm in the midst of chaos is what we often refer to as Zen mind, but perhaps it springs from that quality of beginner mind, a kind of unsubstantiated faith, By definition, a beginner doesn't have the wisdom and knowledge that come from experience and expertise. A beginner embarks on a project only hoping to learn, only having faith that the effort will be worthwhile. That's what I saw Kelly do at that workshop last week. In a way, the state of mind isn't even hope, it's longing. Longing for a better way of being in the world. Longing for a better world. We need beginners who long for positive change in themselves and in the world. We need beginners who see their dreams and their confusion as a gift, whose longing somehow translates into effort and letting them move forward into transformation. We Unitarian Universalists talk about justice, about our vision of a world where every person is free to search for the truth, where every person has sufficient resources to conduct a meaningful search. This is a vision of a world that could be. And yet, the world around us is troubled. How do we make things better? The task often seems beyond us. And yet, if we accept this picture of the world as a troubled place, if we merely accept it, we're stuck with that reality. Nothing will change if we can't cope with the challenge. Can we acknowledge reality while also recognizing that something new and beautiful might be about to emerge, something we might not think of, something we might not be able to perceive? What if those of us who have more privilege relative to others were to bring a beginner mind to the challenge and let go of knowing, to let go of being the expert, so that we can hear the prophetic voices of those most affected by injustice? What would happen? We might allow ourselves to seek their guidance. Beginners are always ready to learn. What might we learn? In what new ways might our light shine? Each day, we are beginners. Each of us, somewhere in our lives, is coping with disorder and chaos. Each of us passes birds singing and may choose to stop and listen. Each of us can make a new friend or renew a friendship with an old friend. Each day we can be open to new learning. Imagine what we might accomplish in our lives and in our congregations if we cultivate beginner mind.